Thank you again for the opportunity. It was great to see some of you all yesterday. As mentioned, my name is Atticus LeBlanc. I am the founder and CEO of PadSplit. I've been in affordable housing now for 20 years, most of my career, and actually got my start when I first moved to Atlanta 23 years ago by renting a room in a home, which ultimately empowered me to own my own home and start my own business, start my own family, etc. So this is something that I'm deeply passionate about as well. And the foundation of the company really comes down to a simple question, as I alluded to yesterday, which is, do the people who serve our communities, in this case Montgomery, deserve at least an opportunity to live in them? This is Kiosha. She was one of our members who is representative of the population that we serve. She worked as an in-home health aide, serving sick and elderly individuals, but couldn't afford and qualify for an apartment in Atlanta for herself and her daughters aged 11 and 2. So she unfortunately had to send them to live with her mother in Valdosta, Georgia, 3.5 hours away, and would commute on the weekends just to be able to see them. The situation that we find for Kiosha is something that faces a lot of people across the United States, and that there's insufficient supply of housing, where there is a shortage for low-income workers of 7.3 million units nationally. And then the second question, which few people talk about, is the access question. And what that means is that because most property managers require a certain income to rent ratio, and then on top of that will require, in some cases, a minimum credit score, and in almost every case, an upfront deposit, most of those individuals who are working full-time don't qualify for those units. And this was the case for Kiosha, and I actually pulled yesterday while I was in the meeting what the supply of units are for in-home health aides, as an example, in Montgomery. So I found a listing on Indeed that paid $24,000 a year, meaning that person would qualify, assuming they got the job in Montgomery, Alabama, for $667 a month. And I pulled then on apartments.com how many apartments are currently available for $667 or less. And there were only 8 total units. One of them was actually just an individual bed in a senior facility in the city as well. I don't know the workforce population particularly well in Montgomery, but I would venture a guess that you have far more than 8 individuals who are currently seeking housing in those income ranges, particularly given the number of people that we're talking about and the profile of those different occupations. Fortunately, in Kiosha's case, she found PadSplit, where she was able to qualify within minutes for a fully furnished room in a shared home with all utilities, Wi-Fi, laundry included. We even provide access to telemedicine for anyone who needs it out of our cost, and we report on-time payments to credit bureaus. As a result, she was able to build up enough savings and improve her credit to the point where 10 months later she was able to buy a home just east of Atlanta in DeKalb County, which is where I live, and move in her whole family, including her mother, under one roof and start building generational wealth for her family. The problem that we see is entirely solvable, meaning the overall housing supply, which is the problem that most people focus on, actually already exists. And the reason why is because homes have been increasing in size since 1950 onward, whereas family and household sizes have been in decline, largely because of just an aging population or smaller and smaller families, or people waiting longer to have children. And that's been in decline since the first census ever in 1790. And so what you find is you actually have more space, residential space, on a per-person basis today than you've had at any point in United States history. And you could actually create that 7.3 million home shortage out of less than 1% of existing current housing. And so it's not this kind of boogeyman that's going to take over neighborhoods. You literally have solved the entire need with less than 1% of existing housing stock in the United States. And so again, the problem, back to the access question, is that they can't access the existing, already limited housing supply. Because someone's making $24,000 a year, they don't have the ability to come up with a deposit for $700, much less $1,200, which is around the median rent that you're looking at a one-bedroom apartment in Montgomery today. And then on top of that, the property managers will typically require, as I mentioned, the 3 times monthly rent. So even somebody who's earning a decent wage at quote unquote at $15 an hour only makes $31,000 a year, and $870 is the max that they're going to qualify for. And those units just don't exist in any sort of scale, and you can't build the units which will have low enough construction costs to be able to market at those rents as well. So this is ultimately how we address this problem with the existing supply, and it's by aligning incentives, both with investors but also owner occupants in existing markets. And what we do is by dividing the cost of that rental into individual bedrooms, we're more aligned with the population that actually needs those types of spaces. And the workers that are in your community, that are already serving your community today, that need access to individual rentals. And we absolutely do that by just showing the bottom line to would-be housing providers how instead of offering a vacation rental, for instance, or a short-term rental, they can actually create affordable housing in their communities and solve an important need while also making money. And as a result, we've grown to over 25,000 units without using any taxpayer dollars. It's better for members because there's very little in the way of upfront costs. We run full background checks on all of our members. We verify their identity using a biometric scanning system where they hold a picture of their ID next to their face, and we're tied into their bank accounts and we're verifying income for every single individual. But because of our unique payment structure and underwriting system, we don't require those high upfront deposits that would normally be required by a traditional property manager. The cost of an application, which we can process within just a couple of minutes, is $19. And then in lieu of a deposit, there's only one, what we call a move-in fee, which covers the cost of cleaning an individual room. And that averages $81 across the platform. In some cases, it's down to $0. So if you look at that average one-bedroom apartment comparison on your left at the top versus the PadSplit cost in the green, that's before you ever move in. You're talking about north of $3,000 to move into a standard apartment. In Montgomery, even with an average rent of $1,250, you would still be almost at $3,000 when you add up all of these costs compared to $100 with PadSplit. And then we bill on a weekly or per payday basis because it's very easy to remember, it's very easy to budget around. And so even though our residents are committing to 12 weeks on the platform up front, they're still only required to pay for the first week and this move-in charge, which means that for the 40% of Americans who don't have $300 to spend on an emergency expense, they can still move into a new place within 48 hours for less than $300 on average for all 25,000 PadSplit units across the country. Why is it better for members? Because they have the ability to transfer. So a lot of people ask, well, what happens if you have a bad property owner, or if you have a bad roommate, or if you just get a new job across town or across the country? Our PadSplit members, their first transfer is always free. So they have the ability to transfer across the network of options as needed based on the requirements of their job, or if they're just unsatisfied with the place that they move into. We can underwrite individuals below $15,000 a year. So if you think about seniors on fixed income, particularly those who are on Social Security income, earning as little as $12,000 a year, we can still underwrite those people to put them into a traditional housing option without public subsidy, whereas otherwise it would be impossible. And like I say, on average, we see a 48-point increase in credit scores because of on-time credit reporting. More than 89% of our residents report savings, and it's a significant amount, about $366 a month. And then for our hosts on our platform, we're moving people into those rooms very, very quickly. On average, across every market, it's less than 7 days. We have 24/7 on-call customer service that can support any sort of inquiries from Johnny stole my peanut butter, to the water doesn't work, to the power's out, to oh my gosh, this house is flooding and I need to move right away. And we've had situations where our customer service teams had to help people find new housing even in the middle of the night. Every room on the platform has to meet federal HUD standards. And I think that's really pretty important. Fire safety is also very important to us. Host ratings are now exposed on the platform, so before any resident books, they can see what the move-in rating and the overall room rating is for that unit. And why is it better for communities? Because for one thing, it's tax-free. It doesn't require any cost on behalf of the communities that we're in. You have environmental benefits because you don't have expensive new construction. that also requires significantly more traffic. For neighbor engagement, I mentioned this yesterday in my presentation, but we have a portal on our site where any neighbor with any issue can report any concern to us at any time. And I happen to see those personally along with our legal team. And the economic impact is also pretty profound. For people earning a median income of $27,000 a year, we're saving them on average $366 a month, and that money gets put back into the local community. The alignment of incentives with residents, hosts, and cities has certainly fueled our growth. We're at nearly 25,000 units across 26 states, and we continue to grow more and more. We've added the equivalent of 6 apartment complexes just last month, and 2 just in the last week. Who we serve, again, $27,000 median income. 15.5% of folks are on disability. 8% are moving directly from unsheltered homelessness. In spite of having full-time employment, I want to emphasize that there's an invisible population of people that we all interact with every single day who you would have no idea that are homeless. They're serving your sandwiches, they're the cashiers at the grocery store, they're your in-home health aides, and they're absolutely living out of their cars more often than you would ever expect. 81% of our folks are employed full-time, and 47% rent a car. I think that's another misconception, is you assume if there are 6 rooms in a home that you're going to have 6 cars outside, and that is rarely the case. Just because if you're only earning $24,000 to $31,000 a year, it's an unnecessary expense, and in some cases, you're just not capable of affording that car. Since 2018, without any public subsidy, this is what we've been able to do, creating $198 million in savings for our residents. And if you compare what it costs to build for a traditional subsidized apartment through the Loans and Housing Tax Credit Program, we've saved taxpayers almost $7 billion. In spite of the fact that we're still a relatively small company. We've seen over 50 members buy homes, and 90% of our residents would refer us to a friend. And so I will pause there. We certainly hope that you'll agree with us that the workers who serve our communities deserve an opportunity to live there, and that is inclusive of the city of Montgomery.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
No. Thank you.
Miss, you good? All right, thank you, sir, for your presentation.
Absolutely, thank you.
All right, any other council have anything like me to do?